Good evening, everyone. You're in the spotlight with Brian Gardner for this Tuesday, April the 23rd, 2019. Good to have you all here for our first and only show of this week. Hope your weekend treated you well. Hope your week is treating you well here. Again, we're joining you for one show this week. We'll be preempted on Thursday. We'll explain that why and what's going on with that and what's going on beyond this week in just a moment. But as always, want to start off by reminding you all the ways in which you can interact and contribute to our show, have your voice heard by emailing us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Remember to use the hashtag itspotlight411 for anything you tweet regarding our show. And as always, you can find us on Facebook as well. Just search in the Spotlight 411 on Facebook and make sure that you like our fan page once you find it. Or once you're on it, so you can interact with us and know what's going on with the show and all that important, fun, cool, nifty stuff that you probably want to do. Okay, as I said, there's only one show this week. Thursday, we are preempted for Avengers Endgame because that's just what most people are doing. If you see the numbers overseas so far, that's what most people are doing. So, we'll talk more about Avengers Endgame later on in the show, as well as present this week's edition of the Box Office Beat. There will be no TV highlights tonight. I told you that on Thursday. Just not enough time. We got a lot of stuff to get to. We got some wrestling too. Raw and Smackdown, other WWE news. I'm sure Mike will be excited about what happened in the main event tonight. SmackDown. Very predictable, but still. We'll talk about that later on too. On the sports side of things, we got a few MLB things to get to, most notably the injury chaos that's going on. We talked a little bit about it last week. We're going to talk more about NBA playoffs, what you know about any ongoing scores while we're on the air tonight, as well as talk about what's happened so far. And we also have and another MLB story in the form of Bryce Harper. So that's all of what's going on here tonight on the show. Again, no show on Thursday. Next week, we'll be doing two shows. And that will be our final two-show week until probably the week after Memorial. Actually, no, probably about it. That will be our only. Well, actually, you know what? Take that back. Let me before I misspeak here. We'll have two shows next week. The week after, we'll have one, and then we won't have a show again until the week after Memorial Day, because I'll be going away. So we won't be doing any fill-in shows like we've done in the past. We'll just be preempting the show for that duration, and then we'll come at you with two shows the week of Memorial Day, Tuesday and Thursday. And then I'll talk more about the June schedule later on. We're going to do some different things. I said we got some changes coming. Well, that's why I'm kind of putting it off, going into detail about what's going on, because I don't want to get into too much detail and then have people ask me questions and things don't pan out. I'm trying to be coy about it until I know for sure what exactly is going to be going down. But generally speaking, we're going to be doing some different things in June. And then going forward into the summer, because we're going to be we're going to be doing the setup a much different way than I really wanted to do it, but we're going to be doing it, and you'll see what I mean once we get closer to it. I'm not going to explain a lot tonight because I was going to explain more tonight, but we don't have the time. When I did the outline tonight, this just wasn't the time. So we're not going to do the outline tonight. We're not going to outline things tonight, but we will talk more about that in the coming weeks and go into further detail about everything that's going to be going on with the show. Because we're going to be kind of doing like a prelude, if you will, to the new and the different in June. So just be aware of that. That's going to be coming up. And in the month of June, we're going to be starting all that up. So that's pretty exciting. It's something that we've been waiting to do for quite a while, as you all know. Just kind of kept getting pushed back. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting summer. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. So we'll talk more about that in the days and weeks to come. Now you'll notice that I'm not doing the show from where I usually do it. I am still in my home. I've done it in here before, but very rarely do I do it in here. Well, I had the opportunity. Nobody's downstairs. And lately, as you all know, I've been having trouble with my daughter, during the show. And she's had a rough couple of weeks with teething and such. So I'm doing the show in another area, hopefully, so that my voice doesn't wake her up. And I can also be a little bit more loud I'm hoping that's going to help the show a little bit, and by me being in here, it's going to help me not to be able to project my voice and wake her up, because I think sometimes that's what happens. So yeah, so that's why I'm doing a show from where I am tonight. Just so you all know, because people ask me, well, wait a minute, why are you doing the show? Now I know it's not the best quality right now. I'm trying to rectify. That's kind of why I'm trailing off of. I'm looking at some things right now and trying to fix the quality of the stream. So just bear with me here. I'm going to be kind of making some adjustments throughout the show. So just be aware of that here. I'm going to be trying to mess with some things here and see what I can do here. But my co-host is on, so let's get in and bring him in. I referenced him already, but Mike, you're in the spotlight.
Howdy ho, Winslow.
Howdy ho.
Howdy ho.
I should say happy Endgame week, like I've been doing to everybody this week. It's very exciting.
Sure.
Remember, folks, don't spoil the movie. I can spoil it for myself, but don't spoil it for yourselves. It's not worth it. What's better to not spoil yourself?
Screw that. I'm going to spoil myself when I want to.
Well, you probably shouldn't. I'm just going to say that. I remember you. Remember a year ago, you said you weren't. You held it together until we got in the theater, and then you were like, "Well, spoil me." Remember that? Yeah. Don't. You can hold it together that long. Hold it together till the movie starts, because trust me, it'll be worth it. This is one of those.
Doing it now.
No, don't do it now. Don't do it now. Really, you are?
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if you were.
I sincerely do not care. So.
Oh wow, that's blasphemy. Okay. Anyway, we'll talk more about that later. But we got a lot of things to get to. We're gonna start off with start off with some of these sports things, then we're gonna move on. First, though, let me give you all a little bit of an update on where we're at with the NBA tonight, because again, we're going to be having till June, and as we always do every year, we update you on the NBA playoff scores while we're on the air, no matter what kind of show we're doing, sports entertainment. We always do that, and obviously we talk about these games too. Right now, let's see what's on tap for tonight, I should say. If I can pull up my right now, it's 33-30 Denver over San Antonio, second quarter, 7:47. This game on NBA TV. It's the first round, one of the first round West playoff series here. Game 5, the series tied at 2 games apiece. That game again on NBA TV. You also have right now in the fourth quarter on TNT. It looks like Brooklyn's about to end their season. 2:15 left in the fourth. It is 116-90 Philadelphia. So that series is going to be over. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. I mean, really, we all picked Philly, but Brooklyn got that first game, and then you started to wonder. So that's going on. Toronto won their series against the Magic earlier tonight, 115-96 in their game 5. Toronto won the series 4-1. Not surprised. I was surprised Orlando even got a game, quite frankly. And then later on tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT, Oklahoma City will look to extend their season as they are down 3-1 against Portland, as Portland will try to lock up the series tonight. So a lot of NBA action tonight. So we'll keep you updated on those ongoing games as they happen. And right now, like I said, about Brooklyn, we all figured that Brooklyn was going to win against the Sixers. The Sixers played an awful game 1. Look, you don't want to take anything away from Brooklyn in that game 1. They earned it, but at the same time, Philly played awful. We talked about Joel Embiid with the phone, and once they woke up and look, really, once the Nets lost Game 3, after everything that they went through, with all the controversy and all the stuff about, what the Sixers were doing and everything, they got sucker punched and they never got back up. They just did, and that there was no way they were going to come back from that. So, this series was over at that point. Philly is a much better team. They woke up, and look, Philly came into this series not playing their best basketball over the last month of the season. And it showed, and now they kind of woke up. So Brooklyn might have woke up a sleeping giant here. So the Sixers look like they're about to move on. I mentioned Toronto has already moved on. The Bucks moved on last night, sweeping the Pistons. Not much you can say about that series. Completely one-sided. Blake Griffin was sidelined as well. So at the end of that series, so that was the only chance they had with Blake Griffin, and really didn't have a chance to even win him. It's not much of a series there. The Celtics beat the Pacers. Actually swept the Pacers, which is shocking because the Pacers, you thought that series would probably have the chance to go the deepest in the East. No dice. The Celtics look like a completely different team these last few weeks. Gordon Hayward has come alive. Irving's been great. It looks like it really does look like the Celtics have turned a corner here, and now the East is going to be very interesting because you got the Bucks, you got the Raptors, you got the Sixers, and now you got a very, very, very hot Celtics team playing very well right now. And they, in my opinion, they had the hardest test in this first round going up against the Pacers, and they swept them. And so that's just, I mean, a lot of these games are close, yes, but they still swept them. So that's gonna be very interesting to see how the Celtics go going forward. So the East series haven't been much. You have two sweeps and a series that was won 4 games to 1, and another series that was going to be won 4 games to 1. So not much of a series, not much going on in the first round of the East, which we all expected. On the West side of things, the Warriors beat the Clippers 3 games to 1. The Clippers got that second game, kind of like what the Nets did to Philly in Game 1 of their respective series, where they just, the Warriors just didn't play well, but and really, Warriors had that game won. They just gave it up. They choked it away, and the Clippers won that game. I don't expect the Clippers to get another game in this series. I think this series will be over tomorrow night, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. But still, the mere fact they got a game, you give the Clippers credit for that. Something like the Nets, something they could build around, really. So I expect that series to be over tomorrow night. We talked about the Nuggets and the Spurs series. I said that would be probably the most interesting series of the first round on either side of the playoffs conferences, and it has been so far. The series tied at 2 games apiece. My expectation is that Denver will probably. I think Denver might take tonight. I really do. I think Denver might take tonight. I think San Antonio will take Thursday, and I think we'll go to a Game 7. I still favor San Antonio. But I will admit Denver's impressed me in this series. I didn't think Denver. Look, I'm not saying Denver's not a very good team. Denver is a good team. I just thought that the Spurs were the better team, but they've held serve. They really have. They really have held serve, and look, I think that they have a puncher's chance here. They got to get tonight. If they lose tonight, then it's done. They got to get tonight if they have any chance, and I think they will. So I think this series is probably going 7. So. But a very fun series, though. Very fun series. Probably the best series of the bunch in the first round, which we all expected. Tonight, I expect Portland to end the series. Oklahoma City won that Game 3, made a nice stand. But boy, Portland, I think Mike will probably agree with me on this. Portland for years has been, they were kind of like one of those teams that barely made it in, and then Lillard and McConnell, they kind of jumped in, but they kind of were just there. And then all of a sudden, as the Spurs have kind of dropped down and the Thunder have dropped down, the only team that's kind of stayed up at the top of the perch has been the Golden State Warriors as far as the West goes. While all these other teams have dropped, Portland has kind of just stayed there, and they've gotten better. And now you look at this Portland team as a team that can easily get to the Western Conference Finals. I think Portland has – the thing that I like about Portland is the guard play. Now, you're going to say, well, okay, wait a minute. You can't just win with guard play. It's the NBA. It's not like it's college. That may be true, but you can make a lot of players that are just simple role players better with good guard play, and that's what Portland has. So I really like this Portland team. I think they're going to finish the series tonight. Oklahoma City has a major issue. It's the same issue that they've had when Kevin Durant was there. Look, Russell Westbrook can triple-double every night if he wants to, but nobody else. He doesn't make anybody else better. He does not put the rest of the team in a position to be better. And that's a problem. And that's what I'm saying. You look at Portland, they put, guys like Lillard put guys in positions to be better. And Russell Westbrook doesn't do it. Russell Westbrook is a phenomenal player, but he does not make his teammates better. And that's the issue. And that's the reason why Oklahoma City Thunder are going to lose this series, and that's the reason why they're never going to win anything big with him. It's the bottom line. So I expect the series to be over tonight. We'll talk about. I didn't put this in the show description, but we'll talk about Russell Westbrook in a minute because there's some interesting stuff going on there with him. And you got the Rockets and the Jazz, and I expect that series to be over tomorrow night. The Rockets are probably going to end it. Look, the Jazz are a good team, but they're lacking some talent. Um, Here we are. They got Donovan Mitchell, but they need more. They got a couple guys there, but they need more. The Rockets we know already. We saw what they were last year. They got off to a bad start this year. That's why he's why they're the 4 seed. The Rockets, I expect to end this series tomorrow night in Houston, and then and then they'll move on. It has been really, even though the Jazz have gotten one game and they got that game last night, it hasn't been much of a series. So what you're looking at here is on the east side of things, you're going to be pretty much what we all thought we would be looking at anyway. The Bucks and the Celtics, which is going to be a great series, and the Sixers and the Raptors, again a great series. So the East is going to have two really good series, and very wide open if you really think about it. And on the West side, things you're going to have the Warriors and the Rockets, which is going to be a good series, and probably the Portland Trailblazers and I think the Spurs, but I it could easily be the Nuggets at this point. So again, going to be some very good series. So your second round is going to be really, really good, and your third round and your semifinals should be good too. So it might not have been the best first round around the dial, but it could end up making for some good stuff down the road here in the NBA playoffs. Um, Before I get to some more of the put some more on the Russell Westbrook thing, which I'm going to talk about in a minute here. Mike, do you have any thoughts on where we are with these NBA playoffs?
What are you saying?
I asked if you had any thoughts on where we are with these NBA playoffs.
TV highlights? What the heck, Brian? I thought we weren't doing that this week.
No, not TV highlights, Mike. NBA playoffs.
I mean, I was
Good
watching a
lord.
couple of new shows, I think, but
Are you for real?
I'm always real, Brian. Always real. Never fake.
Oh my god.
Keeping it 100. Use a bitch. What do I have to say about it? Oh, look, the Raptors beat the Magic. There's a shock.
True.
What am I talking about? The Oklahoma City Thunder, how they're never going to win anything? Look, if the Oklahoma City Thunder were really serious about winning anything, they probably should have kept Durant and shipped fucking Russell Westbrook anywhere else. Russell Westbrook is a triple double machine, but he doesn't make anybody around him better. Or at least that's what I've noticed. Damian Lillard, however, is a fucking nightmare to guard who can shoot threes from half court and make them consistently. By the way, Houston beat Houston beat the Jazz. Oh, excuse me. The Jazz finally got one in Houston. The Rockets are up 3-1. Talking about teams that won't fucking win. By the way, one of the biggest trends I saw on Twitter over the last couple days is James Harden flopper. Wonder why.
No.
James Harden thinks that playing defense is I'm gonna flop on the ground. Hoopa doopa doop. James Harden would be better off actually playing fucking defense and lying about it.
He really is the worst flopper in the NBA.
He is the worst flopper of the NBA, and the referees enable it because they give him the calls more often than not, which is a fucking embarrassment. And whenever they're asked about it, the NBA's officials, or their Twitter account especially, is very mum on it.
Of course.
What a, there's surprise. There's not a surprise. Oh, hey, the Milwaukee Bucks swept the Detroit Pistons. There's not a surprise there. The Celtics swept the Pacers. I'm surprised the Clippers are still. Well, the Clippers made that miraculous comeback and have not been able to do it since. Surprise, surprise. But here we are. I want the process to fail, but they're not. The Nets are the Nets.
Nets are done. It's over now. So
No, yeah, the Nets. The game's already over. They lost by 22.
yeah, done. So
The Raps could make the finals. The Bucks can make the finals. The Celtics should probably make the finals. Who knows? But until somebody steps up and plays the war and beats the Warriors. Excuse me. It's going to be the road to the NBA championship still goes through Golden State. And you know what though? I don't think Kevin Durant very much cares. Do you know who else who doesn't care?
Hmm.
Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson also doesn't care. Now, Durant, look, Durant is the winner of this anyways. If they win the NBA championship, great. He gets another ring. If they lose, great. He gets to start free agency early,
Yeah, really.
which is his ultimate end goal. They might give Clay a max. They might not give Clay a max. Who's to say? Who knows? But for some reason, it's obvious Clay is not comfortable being there. Clay does not want to be there. It looks like, and I'm only noting this based off of body language. In interviews, team interviews,
Mm.
Durant obviously doesn't want to be there, but
Durant's out the door. That's a
yeah,
given. Yeah.
Klay Thompson looks like he's out the door too.
That's interesting because I don't know what happened there. He seemed pretty fine until this year.
Yeah, maybe he also wants to go to New York and play with Zion Williamson. Yeah,
Yeah, well, we'll see.
well, we will see, but there's not a whole lot else to say about the NBA playoffs. They're
Free
happening.
free agency is going to be It's going to be an interesting offseason because you're going to see some. This is it for the Warriors. They're going to lose either one or both of Durant and Klay Thompson.
They are going. See, if they lose Clay, it's a bigger deal because I think the Warriors could win without Kevin Durant.
Oh, they did it. We saw them do it.
Yeah, they already did it. Are they more vulnerable without Kevin Durant? Absolutely, they are more vulnerable without KD. That doesn't mean it's a impossibility. It just means the offense has to go through Steph more.
Right.
And Kevin Durant, who is, again, probably the most talented scorer in the NBA, probably in a very long time, but he's the most passive player.
Yeah, he is.
He is so passive it hurts. I don't understand. Kevin Durant could dominate a game. He could score 40 a night at will.
It's interesting. He's passive, but then he complains that he doesn't like the system.
Yeah,
It's such a weird thing. It's like
he complains that he's passive and then he doesn't get the ball enough. But then again, he doesn't seek the ball.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the ball.
No, we talked about this when he was in Oklahoma City. It's to me it's just it's like you need to just understand he wants the ball and just give it to him whether he asks for it or not. That's basically what you got to do. But yeah, you're right. You're right.
He feels like the ball just should automatically come to him. But Steph Curry is the heart and the soul of that team.
Yeah.
So the offense runs through him.
He really has to, and I mean, this comparison is maybe not as apt, but Wade and LeBron in Miami. Now, look, LeBron was a ball dominant guy. They ran the offense through him, but if you look at a lot of those their offense, that ball always touched Dwayne Wade's hand on a possession, even if LeBron started the possession.
Yeah.
And he usually made some of the bigger plays. It came through him. He would set up LeBron. He would set up Chris Bosh. So it still in a lot of ways did run through Dwayne Wade, even if LeBron brought the ball down. If you watch those offensive sets they used to run, and that's really what the Warriors do. Yeah, Curry brings the ball. Let's see, Curry brings the ball up. It all goes through Curry, but a lot of times Curry is setting up Durant. It's a wide open system. I mean, Curry is the guy, but at the same time, he understands his responsibility, and that's what makes Golden State work, is to set up the guys in his offense. That's always what he's understood. You can't. I mean, so something Russell Westbrook yet to understand.
Still won't.
No, that's why Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, really. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's going to be an interesting offseason, but yeah, it's. But the one thing you can say, and you got to give Steve Kerr a ton of credit. I'm going to talk about Steve Kerr in a second. he's kept his team together even with all this. It's clear there's a major issue with chemistry, and there's a major issue in the locker room. You can tell, but they haven't fallen apart. He's kept them together, and they've won. That's a testament to strong leadership and a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know as well as I do. Look what happened with the Celtics this season. Until now, they finally started to come together. But you've seen it time and time again. Some of these really good teams have the most talent, but they have issues like the Warriors seemingly do, and they either don't make the playoffs or they end up early exits. Or Golden State's not missing a beat right now, and that should tell you something. So now I mentioned I was going to talk about Steve Kerr. Well, Steve Kerr made some comments. Now, look, if you haven't been following this Russell Westbrook thing, it's an indication. What Russell Westbrook is doing is it shows you, and we're going to probably do a show about this in the near future because it's a really good topic. The changing face of media in the sports world. Because I don't know, I'm not sure people are aware. Years ago, athletes, it wasn't just coaches, athletes needed the media. They needed them to get their messages out, to promote them, to get their brand established. They don't need them anymore. They got social media, they got the Players Tribune, they got all these resources to get their message out, to help expand their brand, to get their popularity going, whatever the case may be. So they don't feel like they need them anymore. And this is not just this is more so in the NBA, but it's in all sports. You've seen it across all sports. The athletes are rebelling against the media. They don't want to deal with it anymore. Either their answers are short or they're dismissive, and that's not everybody. Some guys are still professional. I don't want to lump everybody together, but let's be honest, it's happening more and more that you see these guys just either duck the media or don't say anything or say very little or act dismissive. And it's been happening a lot in the NBA. We talked about Kevin Durant earlier in the season, how he treated the media. Well, Russell Westbrook's new thing, if you haven't been following this, is when he deals with the media, you know what he says? Next question. Why
No,
isn't
I'm
next
not
question?
passing you the ball.
No, it's next question, I believe, isn't it? I think that's what he's saying. Like, if you don't want to answer the question, he just goes next question. I'm going to see what the quote is. I'm pulling up the article right now. It's got a lot of traction, though. Let's see here. Perry Dixon. Let's see. Oh yeah, next question. He does it habitually. Okay. Now, Steve Kerr spoke out against this, thinking it's dangerous for the game. Mark Jackson made some strong comments saying he cannot condone it. It's taken on a life of its own. A lot of people just think it's, that Oklahoma City has to do something about this, but they won't because they don't want to anger him and have him. Because as you know, Mike, what happens now when you do something to say something to the player that they don't like? Trade me.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm going to make your life a living hell until you get me off this team because I don't think you should have the right to control me. The players run the league now. And the reason why they do as far as the NBA goes is because of LeBron James. LeBron showed these players that you can run the league, that you don't have to do what you don't want to do. You don't have to go where you don't want to go. You don't have to stay with one team. You don't have to, he changed the entire game. And now you're seeing this in other sports, but it happened differently than it did in the NBA. LeBron started it in the NBA. In other sports, it kind of just happened where, guys just took more and more ownership of themselves naturally. And all these studies were done. When players are happy, they perform better. Well, no duh. It used to be all you needed to do to make a player happy was give him a good contract or win. Now it's, well, geez, I want access to the private jet, or I don't need you telling me, I don't want to have to deal with the media or protect me, shield me, like all these little things. Here's the thing, and I agree with Steve Kerr, I agree with Mark Jackson. Here's the thing. Playing basketball or whatever sport you play is your job. You're a professional, okay? And if you're in college, it's part of your responsibility too, as far as being a college athlete. The media is there doing their job. Their job is to cover you, okay? Dealing with the media is part of your job because it's accountability. It's communication with the people that come out to see you play, that support you, that are going to go on to support you if you're in college later on in life, if you choose to pursue a professional career. Your responsibility is to deal with the media. Now, look, you can't make people answer the way you want to answer. I would rather Russell Westbrook or anybody just goes up there and is short with their answers than to give something like next question and be dismissive. I get it. In basketball in basketball and baseball, it's really hard because it's a long season and you have to deal with it for what 6, 7, 8 months out of the year. It's a lot. I get it, and it's annoying. In football, you deal with what, like 20 weeks out of the whole year. Okay, I get it. But here's the thing: it's part of the rules of engagement. It's what you sign up for. It's not a perk. It's not not a perk. It's not something that you can just go to your general manager and say, "I don't want to do it." Ownership has to do it. Your general manager has to do it. Your coach has to do it. And here's the thing that I think is hilarious about this. And I think we talked about this too a couple months ago with Durant. You know what I think is funny about all these athletes that like Russell Westbrook that are getting dismissed with the media? As soon as they leave the game, they become parts of the media. This very thing that they hate and can't deal with, they become a part of it. Most of them. And if they don't, they're trying to get the media to cover whatever project they're doing next. Because now that they're not an athlete anymore, they need the media because they have no other way to reach people. It's all part of your job. Do your job. Just do it. Go up there, own it, take accountability for yourself, and just do it. You don't need a 20-minute answer to every question. Just go up there, answer the question succinctly, and then leave the podium. It's not hard. And I get it after a tough loss or whatever, it might be hard to do it. But it's all you just have to deal. We all deal with things in our jobs that we don't want to deal with. You just do it. And look, that kind of behavior does not endear you to your fans. Because fans already have a love-hate relationship with athletes anyway, based on how much they make and how they act. And, when you add stuff like that to it, pettiness like that, like, well, I don't want to bother with the media. Well, because here's the other thing. What you tell the media is what is delivered to the fans. The media represents the fans. They post these articles to address things that the fans want addressed. And if you don't respond to the media, that means you're not responding to the fans. Because simply putting stuff on social media and in the Players Tribune is not enough. So you're not only spitting in the face of the media, you're spitting in the face of the fans. So that's not helping you. But they don't think of that because they think they can just make up for it by making a social media post or posting something on a Players Tribune or something. So, again, it's what happens when you let the players run things almost exclusively. Mike, you got any thoughts on this?
In terms comes to thoughts, I don't know. It is bad for the NBA. Absolutely, it's bad for the NBA. Now, I understand why Kevin Durant specifically was upset with the media, because Kevin Durant, he's been dealing with the trade rumors or he's going to leave Golden State rumors all year. Well, it's obvious that he's going to leave, and the media has to follow up on the story. Kevin Durant has more of a right to say, next question, I'm not addressing that now, than Russell Westbrook in his next question. It looks like Russell Westbrook only does that to one reporter.
Yes, that's what I'm getting right.
He only does that to one reporter, but even then, he's not really amazing with the media. And now look, there's a difference between being a gigantic dickbag to the media, refusing to do press with them, and say like short, curt answers like Greg Popovich. Look, Pop is beloved. Pop will treat anybody with respect, but he hates doing interviews. But he does them. He does them, and that's what they got to. That's what these guys have to do. And look, you have social media, you have the Players Tribune, whatever. Look, player social media is generally like horseshit.
Hmm.
Generally horseshit. It's there's no reports on that. There's no in-depth analysis. It's like, hey, look at this good thing I'm doing. This is great for my brand. Yay. Like I can go to Russell Westbrook's Twitter now and there's not going to be a real thought on it. Like it's somebody putting up for it, like his team. His Instagram may have more stuff, but yeah, Russell Westbrook is doing an ad for Mountain Dew, and he talks about Nipsey Hussle. Nothing about Russell Westbrook's Twitter is worth any like. It's not the in-depth kind of reaction you would get from like a post-game interview.
Hmm.
Well, that's just Russ. Same thing with Durant. Same LeBron. LeBron's a little bit more open with that, but even then, they kind of try to focus the narrative. And look, it's a power struggle. It's been a power struggle forever. But the media, like sports media and sports, it's a symbiotic relationship. You need both. One needs the other, I should say. One needs the other because look, if someone were to shoot a three in the forest and nobody sees or hears it or reports on it, did it really happen? Did it? I mean, of course
Hmm.
it may have, or in your case, of course it didn't, but
Hmm.
because nobody would be there to report on it, nobody would be there. In your case, you would miss every shot and say, I made a shot, but I digress. It's a symbiotic relationship. One, they both need each other.
Right.
It's so, and the players, like, look, LeBron James is talented. LeBron James is probably the best player in the NBA, whatever. But yes, and he's kind of said, "Oh, we have the power. The players can do more." But you still need the media. You still need the media asking help, asking those questions because those post game interviews also help your brand too. They do. They help your brand, helps build relationship with the fan base. If you have an issue with an interviewer, you talk to, yeah, you absolutely talk to your PR department. You absolutely talk to your general manager saying, hey, I have an issue with this one particular reporter. I know they've got to be there, but I'm just going to say next question. I'm not going to answer any of their questions. But no, they're going to go about it how they go about it,
Right.
for better or for worse.
Right. Yeah. It's indicative of a problem. It really is. That's been brewing in all sports, and it's really bad in the NBA. It really is. Now, yeah, it's a problem in all sports, but the NBA it's kind of taken on a life of its own. But there's a problem going on in another sport. That's indicative of another major issue facing, I think, all sports as well. But it's rearing its ugly head more in baseball right now, and that is injuries. And um, it's interesting because you look at um, it's a sport. Baseball's a sport that you will always find injuries in, even though it's not a whole lot of contact. Um, but when you look at it now, I don't want to make this a Yankee thing because we talked about this last week. There's 13 people on the IL, including Aaron Judge now. Okay, um, it's happening across all sports. You know, you're seeing the Red Sox deal with injuries. Nathan Eovaldi's now on the DL. Blake Snell, the Rays, is on the DL. I can go on and on and on. I think Mike Trout's kind of had an injury in that. Like, it's not just the Yankees, okay? The Yankees obviously have the most notable. They have 13 players on the IL. But if you look around, it's not just exclusive to the New York Yankees. And this has been going on for years now. Now, look, as I said last week, a big part of this, I don't know if I said this last, but I was thinking it, is most likely because you don't have steroids in the game anymore or amphetamines in the game anymore. And I think Mark Teixeira said this in an interview where it's basically, well, these guys are using supplements now. They're working out like crazy because you got guys throwing 100 miles an hour. So, the hitters want to be able to keep up with that and hit harder, launch angles, all that stuff, right? So, in order to do that, they have to work out more. And that's not good for baseball because, you're seeing it like guys are straining oblique muscles, they're pulling groin muscles, they're working out so much that they're exhausting themselves in the workouts. And, that's an issue. And for the pitchers, they're doing all these things for endurance and to be able to throw the ball harder. So again, you're working out more and you get hurt more. And the harder you throw too, sometimes that can lead to injuries as well, particularly in your shoulder. So all these things that they're doing, really, if you think about it, are hurting more than they're helping. And it's so funny because meanwhile you got general managers and all the analytics people doing all they can to come up with ways to keep guys healthy and to do the right thing, to keep guys playing the right way. And meanwhile, so much of the things that are being done are hurting the players more than it's helping them. Kind of interesting, in a bad way. So, you know, I've often said this. When this relating this to baseball, it's obviously an issue in all sports. Because I just think, look, it's important to work out, it's important to be in shape. But I think some guys are just going at it way too hard, and you're not leaving anything left in the tank for the game. When you go out there to play the game, you're risking injury because you're not where you need to be. You're either burnt out already, or your muscles and everything are overused, and then things happen. But particularly in baseball. And I think what needs to happen is these athletes and these training staffs have got to evaluate these things and say, you know what, are we wearing down our guys? If you're being worn down, then you got to change something up. Because, one of the things that I think is maddening, in particular in baseball, is you see managers sit guys. Like, look at the Yankees. They're sitting guys that are some of their better hitters that are still left, even though they got a ton of guys injured and they're trying to win games. Why? Why? I mean, you bench guys, you rested guys before they got hurt, and they still got hurt. Or you got guys that are really red hot from an offensive standpoint, and you're sitting them. Why? You used to play the hot hand. Why are you doing that? It's, again, the idea that they get this information. Oh, we need these people we need these guys to have days off, or they're going to get hurt. Well, they're still getting hurt. All these things you're doing are not helping. They're making it worse. So when I say I want to go back to the old way, I want to go back to the way when you just let these guys play. And if they were hurt, they said, like, okay, my ankle's bugging me. I got to sit down for a few days. Okay. All right. Not, well, this guy needs a day off. This is a scheduled day off. We scheduled this 2 weeks ago. That's stupid. You played a hot hand. I just don't understand it. Because especially when all these things have been proven already that they're not helping. Guys are getting hurt more with the current way of doing things than they were before. And again, I know it's probably a steroid and non-steroid, non-amphetamine thing. I get it. And, we're working out too hard and all this stuff. It's one of the reasons why they're working out too hard, and one of the reasons why they're taking more supplements, and one of the reasons why they're doing some of the things that they're doing, is because of the new way of doing things. That's why it's not the right way of doing things. Until they grasp that and say, you know what, it's not working, you're going to keep having these problems. It's the way it is. It's a major issue. And again, I'm focusing on baseball here, but it's an issue across all sports. And it's because, God, you're claiming that you're doing all you can to keep guys rested and such, but then you're overworking them in between. It's kind of ironic. So, um, yeah, Mike, I don't think you have anything to add on injury front, do you?
No.
Okay. One more thing in baseball I want to talk about is Bryce Harper. Now, yesterday, Bryce Harper got ejected for a game for arguing balls and strikes. Now, if you're following the Phillies, they've been one of these teams that's been plagued by injuries. Their lineup is depleted. They need Bryce Harper. Well, he got himself ejected yesterday, and you heard Jake Arrieta, who was the starter for the Phillies in yesterday's game, make some comments basically alluding to the fact that he thought it was wrong and that he thought that Bryce Harper should have known. Again, I'm paraphrasing, but this is what he said, but indicated Bryce Harper should have known better and can't be doing stuff like that, can't be getting himself thrown out of the game. And Gabe Kapler, the Phillies manager, backed Jake Arrieta up. And look, this is, people want to know why more teams didn't go after Bryce Harper, including the Yankees. This is why. The guy is overly emotional. He has a hot head, and not in a good way. At this point in his career, he should know better than to do what he did yesterday. Now, look, I understand in the heat of the moment and all that stuff, but look, you got thrown out arguing balls and strikes. You don't see too many hitters get thrown out arguing balls and strikes. You just don't. That's because usually that's the manager doing that. You can say something to the umpire under your breath and walk to the dugout. And yeah, sometimes you've seen guys throw a bat down, but it's very few and far between. You have to know your place. And doing what he did yesterday was reckless, irresponsible, and it makes him a bad teammate. I'm sorry, it does. Your team needs you, and you're getting yourself kicked out of the game arguing balls and strikes. I mean, running down the bases and getting called out when you're not, stuff like that. I can see it. But balls and strikes. And most of the time, your manager's the one that deals with that. Really, really bad form. And irresponsible. And he deserved all that. And I give Arrieta and Capper credit for calling him on. That's accountability. You don't see that too often in sports anymore. Guys calling each other. I like that. I'm glad they called him out. He deserved it. He deserved it. So a very, very bad move on the part of Bryce Harper. And he has to learn to control that. And it was a big, big topic today. Was Bryce Harper right to do that? Is that okay to do that? Should he be kind of raked over the coals about that? And I think he should. Definitely not a way to endear yourself to a new team. Definitely isn't. Hey, you got a bunch of injuries. I know you need me, guys, but I don't like the fact that I just got called out on strikes. God, I'm gonna go crazy on this umpire and get myself kicked out of the game. First of all, the umpires warn you most of the time, unless you get a really bad umpire. And for all intents and purposes, he did warn Bryce Harper, and he ignored the warning. And that's the thing I don't like. You can push it till you get a warning, but the minute you get a warning, go back to the dugout. He pushed past the warning and got himself kicked out. That is bad. That's wrong. That's wrong. You can't have that happen. Can't have that happen. Again, it's an issue of maturity. He should be more mature than that by now. This bad decision. Bad decision. Right, Mike?
Sure.
Mike just wants to get past the baseball topic. Well, we can get past the baseball topic. I'm done with it. That's all I wanted to cover in baseball. That's all I wanted to cover in sports because there's nothing else I think is worth covering right now. Um, so we'll leave it at that. We'll give you some score updates on the NBA later on in the program. We got some other things to do. So that's all we're going to cover in sports. Now we're going to go to entertainment and do some box office stuff here really quickly. Um, and look, we're going to bypass last week. There's not much to talk about last week as far as the box office goes. The Curse of La Llorona was number one with 26.3 million, which is much better than I thought. At a $9 million budget. So horror movies continue to do very, very well this year on small budgets. And it wasn't just that film that did better than expected, but also some of the holdovers did better than expected, including Shazam, which put in 16.4 million, dropping 32%. You also had another new film from last year called Breakthrough, finished with 11.2 million in third place. I didn't think that movie would do as well as it did, but it did. Again, some Christian movies just do better than expected, especially during Easter, and that's what happened here. Clearly, Easter kind of helped. Maybe some people came back from spring break, or that might be why some of these movies were higher than expected. And Easter's one of those holidays that a lot of things end earlier in the day, so maybe there's more time to go see a movie in the afternoon. So a lot of people might have Monday off too. So coming in fourth, moving up from sixth was Captain Marvel with 9.1 million. Actually gained 5.7%. So people may be jumping on board that on the precipice of Endgame. And then you had Little dropping from second to fifth with 8.3 million, and then Dumbo dropping from fifth to sixth with 6.6 million, and Pet Cemetery was right under $5 million with 4.8 million dollars, dropping from fourth to seventh. So all in all, what I thought was a week that we wouldn't even see a movie over 20 million, ended up seeing a movie over 20 million, and two movies over 10 million, and then 6 movies over 5 million. Now that's terrific for the third week of April, right before the summer movie season gets underway this week. That's terrific. So the box office ended up getting some positive momentum, maybe even more so than they thought they would get going into the big week that they've been waiting for, to kind of throw everything up, burst everything up, and really make the box office soar to heights that it hasn't seen in quite a while. Actually, not quite a while, ever. So that's what Avengers Endgame is set to do this weekend. It will be opening in the most theaters ever, over 4,600 theaters. You know who's in the movie. It's from Disney and Marvel. I'm not even going to go over all that. And right now, the current projections have it making $1 billion this weekend worldwide, which has never happened before. So this movie could legitimately move into the top 10 worldwide in its first weekend, which means $2 billion is almost a slam dunk if it does that. So that's just crazy, and that's the anticipation. The anticipation is it'll get close to $1 billion worldwide and close to 300 million domestically. It'll break its own record. All the reviews, the review embargo went up today. All the reviews are terrific. It's already certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Obviously, there's been concern about spoilers, but even the spoilers have seemed to hype people up more. This is going to be a special kind of movie, and even more so than last year. It's already doing much better in some territories than it did last year, and that's saying a lot because those territories, it did better. It did great in last year. So it's just crazy, and I would say this: I do expect it. I'm going to go on the low end because I always go on the low end. I do expect it to make between 290 and 300 million domestically this weekend. And obviously, it's going to be number one far and away, and everything else because of the theater counts. And here's the thing: a lot of theaters are only going to be showing Avengers Endgame on Thursday night. And they might even add showings on Friday and Saturday. So you might see a lot of other films get impacted. And not just because of Endgame, competing with them directly, but also because they're stealing showings from them. So again, I said Avengers Endgame 290 to 300 million domestically this weekend. Everything else I think will be very, very low. I I actually expect The Curse of La Llorona to drop considerably. It's a horror movie. I think Shazam will be second with around 11 million, maybe 10 million, maybe even lower than that. The Curse of La Llorona right around 8, 8.5. I think Captain Marvel will be right there at 7, 7.5, because I think it's going to benefit from Avengers a little bit, just like it did last weekend, the week before. I think you're going to see Breakthrough drop under 5 million. Little will be right around 5.5, 6. And I think everything else will be under $5 million. Just because of the situation, like I said. So it's a pretty easy week to predict. So yeah, that's how I see this weekend going. I don't think much can be said about it. We obviously talk about any records that are broken and the impact that Endgame's going to have on really box office history and really it's going to be the storyline of the summer, how well it does. It's going to be a big summer at the movies, particularly for Disney. So it's going to be a lot to talk about here, but Endgame's probably going to be the biggest story here. So we'll see how that pans out, starting with this weekend here, which should be a record-breaking weekend because of it. So, Mike, you have anything you want to add?
No, not really.
Okay. So I said there wasn't much to talk about. It's going to be all Avengers Endgame as far as the box office beat goes, and that's exactly what it was. And there'll be all that next week, no doubt, as well. Even though there will be some other movies opening up, you don't expect them to come anywhere close to Endgame. And for those that are wondering, I have to throw this out here. Disney's Penguins movie last week, Disney Nature Penguins movie, put in 2.2 million. It's not that great. Thought it would do better than that, but you know, sucks that it didn't. But I thought maybe people want to know that because that was one of the newer releases last week. So you thought Easter would help it, but it didn't. Help some other movies though. So all right, so that's the end of the box office. I mean, that's the only entertainment we're going to cover for tonight. I said box office being Avengers Endgame, and they both were pretty much the same topic. So that's all the entertainment we're going to cover tonight. Now we're going to jump to some wrestling here, and most notably the Raw and SmackDown highlights from this week. Not much to talk about with Raw. Really. We had some more people move because of the shakeup, which is odd because you thought the only person that had to be handled this week was Samoa Joe, but they had to move some people. Now, look, for those that are wondering, they had to move Andrade back to SmackDown because Fox requested him because they wanted more Latino stars on SmackDown. And Rey Mysterio had been moved to Raw. So that's the reason why that happened. Of course, it probably helps that he's reportedly getting very serious quickly with Charlotte, but still. They also moved Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers to SmackDown. I think they moved they put Aleister Black on SmackDown too, and they kept Ricochet on Raw. And they broke up Sheamus and Cesaro, which there might be more to than what people think. It wasn't just a simple breakup.
That was a real tragedy, though.
It was, but there might be a reason. That might not be good for Sheamus. Just saying. We don't know what the situation is there. I mean, I don't want to speculate. As far as I know, it's just a concussion, but I wonder if maybe it might be leaning towards the end, because the reason why they stuck with it for so long was because they were trying to prolong Sheamus's career. And if he was just out of a concussion for a few weeks, I don't think they would have broke him up. You know what I'm saying? So something's up there. We'll see what happens. But Cesaro was on Raw. If Sheamus does come back, which I assume he will, but he's on SmackDown. So, but yeah, it was really interesting to see so many guys still move this week because we thought the shakeup was pretty much done last week. But typical WWE, you know, some things change, and now that we had the shakeup done and you know everybody where they need to be, we got and really now we're 2 weeks removed from WrestleMania. It was time to move on. They set up Becky Lynch and Lacey Evans, which we all knew was going to happen. We had 2 triple threat matches that ended with a singles match between Baron Corbin and AJ Styles. Look, everybody and their mother knew there was going to be AJ Styles. Okay. Now, I know a lot of people probably thought they were going to build up to that and think AJ was going to be the one to take it off Seth. AJ is not going to be the one to take it off Seth Rollins. They just wanted to do a dream match before they moved on to whatever the big program is. And it's pretty clear that the big program is going to be probably somebody that wins Money in the Bank. That's what I think. And if you heard the news this week, and I'm sure Mike will agree with this and think it's the right thing to do, apparently they realize that they've screwed over the last couple Money in the Bank winners, and whoever wins Money in the Bank this year is going to get a big push. And they're going to cash in, they're going to win.
That's not surprising. They should have been doing that for the last few years, though.
Right, they should have been, but this time around they're really serious about it. So, you know, and look, Sami Zayn had a good segment, and I think Sami Zayn might be the front runner. He had a great
Looks
segment last night.
looks like
Huh?
looks like
Yeah. He had a great segment last night. I think it was a great segment. He's doing really well with his heel work. You got Samoa Joe there. He had a good segment. The two triple threat matches were great last night. I do think it's funny how all the McMahons are being played for heels, but Triple H now. It's real weird. But anyway, I thought Raw was okay. The matches were okay. It wasn't a whole lot going on. Um, Interesting they didn't do much with Strowman and Joe because we know that's going to be the feud. But I think they're being easy with Joe. I think Joe was sick last week, so I think they're probably trying to take it easy on him. Um, SmackDown tonight was far more eventful. First of all, um, I was really curious about them aligning Elias with Shane McMahon. That was interesting. Um, and then Roman Reigns' first feud on SmackDown is Elias.
surprise.
Now it's interesting because Elias apparently has been pegged to face Undertaker at the Saudi Arabia show in June. So if you're going to try to make, usually they like to have Undertaker's opponents look strong going in. They're going to actually put Elias over Roman Reigns.
Surprise.
I mean, that would be a good thing to do. They do it, but we'll see what happens there. Also, I should add for everybody that was complaining that they canceled Backlash because of the Saudi show, they didn't cancel. They moved it to later on in June. So don't worry, it's still going to be in June. Um, Apparently, they're going to have Becky Lynch wrestle 2 matches at Money in the Bank, which Mike, that means she's going to get cashed in on for one of the titles.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dead giveaway. She's facing Lacey Evans and Charlotte. They determined that tonight. Charlotte and Bayley had an amazing match. And then look, I know a lot of people thought it should have been Bayley, but I'm not that upset about that because I think they should build up to it being Bayley. It's pretty clear they're going to burn off the Charlotte feud here. So we'll let that pass for right now. This makes sense. Interesting that they had Finn Balor beat Andrade. I probably wouldn't have done that, but and then we had the main event, which featured what we all thought was going to happen: Kevin Owens turning on Kofi Kingston, which no doubt was going to set up a match at Money in the Bank. And of course, how can I forget, Mike, the highlight from the last 2 nights? Bray Wyatt and his new gimmick.
Absolutely.
And look, I know a lot of people are hating on this. I don't get it. I really don't. It's unique. It's fun. You can tell that there's layers to it, like that he's just been like treated like he went crazy, he went off the rails, and he was sent somewhere to get treated. He already hinted at punishment, and he's acting like you saw him take a chainsaw to a cardboard cutout of himself. I see where they're going with it, and I think it's really, really good. It really is good. So I'm willing to go along for the ride. It's a lot of fun. Good for them for coming up with something really different. And look, you can all hate on it all you want. I think it's really funny. I think it's really good. Mike, your thoughts on Raw, SmackDown, and of course the Firefly Fun Zone, Funhouse? Is that what it is?
Firefly Funhouse.
Okay, Funhouse. Okay.
The Firefly Funhouse is the only thing I've seen from WWE this week, and it was amazing.
So much fun.
It was a lot of fun. The whole segment was good. It's hinting at something more with Bray Wyatt. It's a character change, a little bit, but it's not really that much of a change. It's just he's
Oh, and by the way, you see how in shape he is?
yeah.
Crazy.
He and Kevin Owens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
He and Kevin Owens got in crazy ridic shape, which is good. But it looks like time may be coming to an end on the Kofi Kingston deal. Title run. which is weird. He hasn't really. He had the one match with Seth Rollins, and that's it. But I think the end game was always getting the title back on Kevin Owens. I think Owens is finally going to win the title. Um, but it's interesting. It's very interesting. Becky's got 2 matches in Elimination Chamber with Charlotte and New Charlotte. Whatever. I don't know. Not a whole lot to say. I think the women's tag titles are probably going to end up on Kairi Sane and Asuka, which is really
Yeah,
cool.
that whole Iconics thing was a waste.
They had the moment. And unfortunately, the moment is. Well, then they jobbed the Iconics out to pretty much everybody for the last 3 weeks. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's a waste right now.
right.
Because I think they think the money feud is going to be Asuka and Kairi Sane versus Absolution for now. But there's more to come. Might as well get Asuka doing something worthwhile. Maybe. While Becky Lynch is going to be on both shows and dominate everything, which is fine. But I don't know. I honestly have not seen an awful lot of SmackDown and Raw. I saw some parts of SmackDown in GIF form. Kevin Owens murdering Kofi Kingston. That's now all is right with the world.
You knew it was coming.
Yeah, I would have kind of waited another week or so, or I wouldn't have done it at all. But
It was coming though.
yeah, sure, it was coming. I kind of like tweener Kevin Owens, but
Yeah.
he's firmly now on the side of definitively not the Angels. He's not a face anymore. He's not even Twitter. He's Kevin Owens, and
The
he's
whole
probably going to be the next WWE champion.
the whole face thing would have been fine, but they had to change course, and once they changed course, they had to abandon it.
Yeah.
That they were pretty much stuck with it. So, um, we talked about the Iconics winning the tag titles, and obviously they're going to be dropping them soon. It's pretty obvious. But one of there was repercussions of that was Sasha Banks pretty much walking out of the company, and Sasha Banks apparently reportedly wants to sit out the rest of her contract. And apparently WWE's reaction is they would freeze what parts of parts of the contract she doesn't, perform during. So if she sits out the rest of her contract, I think it's a 4-year contract, they can freeze her contract or expires for 4 years. They can do that. So why would you do that?
I don't know.
She'd be better off trying to sue them to get out of the contract. But so big mess there. Also, apparently Vince lifted the ban on the word belt because Becky's been using it, so now everybody's happy about that. And you also have, let's see here. Oh, sorry. CM Punk made a run at an indie wrestling show.
An indie show promoted
Yeah,
by Silas Young for Ring of Honor.
right.
Apparently, this is not new. He's been doing that for years. However, he just did it one time. He helped out his trainer Ace Steel, who he's still relatively close with. So CM Punk, he did kind of come back of sorts, but he's still got UFC dates on. He's still got dates on his UFC contract now. I don't think UFC's ever going to bring back CM Punk to fight again, and that's understandable. However, because I think CM Punk's real money is in professional wrestling. But he went out, he tried his thing. worked hard. However, I don't know. CM Punk has apparently been kind of doing under mask, under a hood kind of deals for a couple of years now. But this is the first time he's ever gone in with Mario. And kind of got him off, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what they're saying there. Mario? No. Whatever. CM Punk. Could see him back in wrestling ring for at least this time. He may show up at a town near you, but more than likely he's going to be continuing to commentate on mixed martial arts. That's for the time being. UFC is probably going to kind of wait the rest of his contract out. Going back to the Sasha Banks thing. Yeah, Sasha has no leverage, which is too bad for Sasha. So WWE could freeze her out for the remainder of her contract. They'd be entirely within their rights to do so because this is essentially unprofessional behavior. But that's Sasha Banks for you. And Kevin Owens turning on the New Day again. I would have been happy for that to go an extra week or so, or to put Kevin Owens in the Money in the Bank match itself and have him win it. That would have been a cool way of going about it, but you know, you're gonna do what you're gonna do. Kevin Owens getting the world title match is I'm all for it, because again, I think KO is finally going to be the WWE champion again. Let's go back to Sheamus real quick. Sheamus, it's an open secret. He has spinal stenosis. That's the same disease Edge had. That forced Edge to retire. He's on borrowed time, essentially, for Sheamus. He got a concussion. It's not good. He'll be back in about a week or so. But what will they do? I don't know. I feel bad for Sheamus, though. Although, he's on the same brand with the Intercontinental title. And that has been one of his goals. He wants to be Intercontinental Champion at least once in his career. So he may finally get that opportunity on SmackDown Live. Now that Finn Balor's over there anyway. Alright, so I don't really have too much else to say. And I don't even think some of the great words are coming out of my mouth. Let's do a brief score update, I guess. This is Brian's way of extending the show. I'm not sure why. I'm half asleep already. Brief score update. Nuggets are up by a lot on the Spurs. We're looking at 22 points. The Nuggets are leading the Spurs at the end of the third, so the Spurs have quite a ways to go. The Thunder up by 5 on the Trailblazers. The Thunder are fighting for their playoff lives. The Trailblazers looking to end the series. The Raps beat the Magic. The Nets beat the Nets lost the Sixers. Those series are over. So there we are. So right now the Nuggets, the Nuggets are wrecking the Spurs, and the Thunder are up briefly on the Trailblazers. That's where they are. And tomorrow you've probably had the conclusion of the Warriors and the Clippers. You will also have game number 5 for the Jazz and the Rockets. So pick them now. Pick them hard. Pick them fast. Playoffs, they continue. Although there's no alert for, like, when rivals play each other. It's weird. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. How's everybody? I had a good day. Did you have a good day? I also have to go to sleep early because I have work in the morning, like many of you do. Excuse me. Excuse me. I know it doesn't make for good radio or good whatever audio, but I'm just yawning on the air. But I can't really uh, not talk. Anyways, I don't know what else we have to talk about tonight. I think this is it. You already talked about movies. There's no TV highlights. I don't know. I don't really have TV highlights for you guys, really. I've begun a new series. It is Ironside. That is, of course, the Raymond Burr version and not the Blair Underwood version from a couple of years ago. The Burr version was very good. I don't know. Caught up on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. Even still, highly recommended. Um, I don't know. Don't really have too much to say about that either, really. It's too bad. Yeah, well. Well. Well, I guess we could check NHL scores too while we're at it. Because they've got playoffs going on too. Let's see. I don't care about soccer. So looks like the Caps and the Hurricanes are tied 3-3 going into Game 7. So we've got Game 7 hockey coming up with the Caps and the Caps with the Hurricanes and the Capitals. Excuse me. That's tomorrow. Also, we got other 3-3 kind of games going on here. The Leafs shit the bed against the Bruins. The Maple Leafs had the series kind of in their pocket, but then they lost to the Boston Bruins. So the Boston Bruins advance. Oh, they finally beat the Leafs 5-1. The Vegas Golden Knights are up 2-0 in the second period. Vegas, of course, was the defending runners-up. So they're looking to kind of get back in the mix here. And they're up 3-3 on the Sharks. They're up by 2, so there's no sense. There's no. I believe there's a strong belief that the Vegas Golden Knights are going to win. I digress. So we've got a couple of 4-0 sweeps in the NHL, but then we've got a couple of Game 7s, which is all the importance. Oh, well. I don't care about soccer. I certainly do not care about soccer. Sorry, I'm pulling up the different scores while trying to be not half asleep. I sincerely apologize. I was not anticipating doing this again. But here we go. By the way, the 26th games, or the 25th in hockey, you have the Bruins versus the Jackets, Blue Jackets, Columbus, and the Stars versus the Blues. This should be relatively interesting. Mm-hmm. Mm. Don't really have too much else to say. I apologize. Oh well. Oh well. Kevin Owens just posted on Twitter. Hello. What an evil bastard that man is. He's great. He's great. I guess we could jump back to SmackDown Live real quick. Here, let me pull up the information. Okay. No, Charlotte and Becky had a great promo, apparently. Balor defeated Andrade. Don't be surprised if Sheamus can come back if he gets a short run with the Intercontinental title. That would make him a Grand Slam champion. WWE is probably aware of it. So expect Sheamus to get a short run with the Intercontinental title. Elias versus Reigns at Money in the Bank should be really good. Again, looks like the tag match that we're going with is going to end up being Asuka and Kairi versus the Iconics. They'll transition to Asuka and Kairi versus Absolution for Paige's heart. Who loves Paige more? Jinder Mahal shows up on SmackDown. He was supposed to wrestle Chad Gable, but Lars Sullivan's a thing still. Don't be surprised if Lars is Roman's next program. Gotta beat everybody up for credibility so they can job to Roman. That's just how I'm feeling at the moment. Charlotte and Bayley had a really hell of a match. That's not surprising. Charlotte's amazing. Bayley's a workhorse, so they have good chemistry. And then Nakamura versus Kofi. Apparently, it's a very good match. Kofi wins by DQ. Nakamura is great. You should be getting an extended push, but who knows? Who knows? Then Kevin Owens does a Kevin Owens thing. Kicks the crap out of Kofi, says the title is his, and I really want that to happen as well. I really want that to happen as well. And that was SmackDown. Also, John Cena is 42 today. He is in ridiculous shape. If you are also in ridiculous shape, good for you. Good for you. Don't want to comment on that. Don't care enough to comment on that, I should say. Hmm. Hmm. I guess the other big news this week is Dustin Rhodes was either he let his contract last when the 90-day no complete just ended, or he decided not to resign with WWE. He just announced this week that being the elite, well, I mean, there should be a double or nothing for the elite or all elite wrestling. Will feature Dustin versus Cody. And not new news. It's an interesting choice. Very interesting choice. All right. Sorry, I'm texting Brian. Not about Infinity War spoilers. Spoilers. Thanos is in Infinity War. I don't know if that was enough of a spoiler. I don't know. I'm gonna fill time anyway. Spoilers. Iron Man is in the movie. Spoilers. So is Captain America. Spoilers. So are all of Captain America's boyfriends. Bucky, Shiva. Well, I guess we could talk about the early review. A lot of the early reviews for Endgame is in, and all of those reviews have been generally positive, generally overwhelmingly positive. You get the odd bad review here and there, but that's not hard. Anyways, I apologize. Let me quickly take off this here. It's gonna be one moment. I'm sorry. I know. No, empty air is not good. I should be more prepared because this has been happening on a regular basis when I decide to grace Brian with my presence on Tuesdays. This is has been a current thing. I apologize. But but I sincerely have nothing else to follow up with. I don't really have any additional stories here. The Bray Wyatt family funhouse is amazing. Again, it's very enjoyable. There's going to be more to that, so just stick with it. I don't. Hmm. That's where we are in the world of professional wrestling. That's where we are in hockey. That's where we are in basketball. That was my TV highlights. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, highly recommended. Go watch. Um, don't really have anything else in terms of recommend watching other than maybe Beyond Belief Factor Fiction, which is the show that Prime has, which I'm excited about. It's been a long time since we've seen it. Such a good show, good series. I digress. I digress. All right, I guess I'm still here. What other big stories happen in the world of entertainment? Game of Thrones? I don't know. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. I don't care. Um, Kevin Feige says Spider-Man Far From Home ends Phase 2 of the MCU. That is not a surprise. Not a surprise at all. Hmm. Hmm. What else can I say? Will Smith is doing a movie where he fights Will Smith. Sure, that's a thing too. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to go dark on my end because I'm falling asleep. I apologize. I thank you. If you tune out now, I don't
I'm
have a
in. I'm
point.
on. Go ahead, Mike. If you have to go, go. It's okay.
I I covered everything.
Well, there wasn't much left to cover. We were actually on the last topic, but yeah, we talked
I'm
about
going.
this. Yeah, go ahead. You can go. It's all right.
Yeah. Good night. Godspeed.
Um, Sorry about that, folks. I had an emergency situation. Now, I know we left off. Mike probably covered, and you probably got a whole bunch of rambling, I imagine. Um, but I apologize for that. I thought we'd make it through okay. Um, so my apologies. I know it kind of derailed us, showing us how to get back on track. I think we made it through most of the show. So, where we left off was CM Punk and the indie run-in, which I'm sure Mike covered. I don't know if it's going to lead to anything as far as WWE or AEW or anything like that, but it's certainly food for thought and kind of keep an eye on. And all the stuff about Vince McMahon following CM Punk and AJ. I don't think that really means much, but it makes a lot of people inquisitive and makes them wonder about things. So, but we'll have to follow that story because that obviously was a very random thing that happened. Nobody certainly expected CM Punk to do any kind of wrestling for him to do that, and I guess that was his first his first time wrestling was in that building or something like that. So he had some significance. I think they're going to tear down that building. So it makes sense that he would do that, but special kind of circumstance. But we'll see. We'll keep an eye and see if if we anything comes of it or anything like that. So, like I said, if you're gonna have the show derail, at least it happened at the end of the show, and we were pretty much through everything. We were pretty much through everything. We covered wrestling, we covered sports, we covered entertainment. So we got through pretty much all the big stuff that we had to get through here tonight. Um, I said we do a score update before we go off the air. We will do a score update right now. Here, as I said earlier tonight, if you pull up the scores here, um, okay, kind of pulling up very slowly here. Right now we have an ongoing game on TNT between the Portland Trailblazers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. That series led by Portland 3-1. Portland leads that game 61-60 at the half. Damian Lillard already has 34 points, so he's putting on a true great performance in Game 5. Also, right now on NBA TV, you have the Nuggets and the Spurs in a Game 5. That series tied 2 games apiece. 4:18 left in the fourth. The Nuggets own a commanding 103-80 lead. I felt like the Nuggets would win tonight, and I told you that earlier, and they look like they're on their way to doing that. So that series looks like it's going to be a 3-2 lead in favor of the Nuggets. Meanwhile, Portland hanging on to a 1 point lead over the Thunder, and if they win this game, they'll obviously end that series. Earlier tonight, Toronto ended their series against the Magic, 115-96. They won the next series 4 games to 1. And Philly ended their series against the Nets. They won that series 4 games to 1 for a 122-100 victory over the Brooklyn Nets. The Raptors, Kyle Lowry injured his finger. He's hopeful it's fine. We'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, that would be an important piece of news going forward here because he's very important to the Toronto Raptors. So that's where we're at with the NBA playoffs tonight. Again, if you're interested in either the Oklahoma City Portland game or the San Antonio Denver game on NBA TV, Oklahoma City Portland on TNT. So that's where we're at with the NBA playoffs. And with that being said, we are done for tonight. As always, this show might be yours. It's not we have to stop interacting, contributing to the show, continue to have your voice heard. Send us your questions about the show and the scheduling of the show, topic ideas, breaking news items related to sports, entertainment, or wrestling that you want us to cover. Reactions, comments, opinions, and we talked about on the show, things we said. Any things you can do by email, Facebook, and Twitter. You can email us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Remember to use the hashtag itspotlight411 for anything you tweet regarding our show. And as always, you can find us on Facebook as well. Just search in the Spotlight 411 on Facebook to make sure that you like our fan page once you find it or once you're on it, so you can interact with us and know what's going on with the show and scheduling and all that important stuff. You can follow us on social media on Facebook and Twitter so you can keep up with the show and know what's going on with the show and interact with us and be able to be fully engaged with our show. There are 2 ways to keep up with the show and look back at class. You can stream us anytime on YouTube. Just search in the Spotlight 411 on YouTube. When you do, be taken to our show page on YouTube where you can find any one of the episodes we ever produced since we moved to YouTube way back in October 2015. So all those episodes available for you to stream anytime you want. Set over to YouTube and search in the Spotlight 411. If streaming's not your thing, maybe for to listen to us on the go, or maybe in certain older episodes of the show, any that applies to you. Check us out on our main host site, Bobby, on iTunes, to search in the Spotlight 411. And when you do, you'll be taken to our show pages on both sites. We will have access to every episode ever done in over 8 years been doing the show. So all of our original Blog Talk Radio episodes, all of our episodes from Talk Shoe, and all of our current episodes from YouTube transferred to audio format for your convenience. Every episode ever done is in audio format for your convenience, listed from the most recent, that being tonight's way back to the oldest, way back in October 2010. All those episodes available for you to listen to anytime you want, whether you're a long-time fan and want to check an episode from way back when again, or a new fan wants to check out an old episode for the first time, or you want to keep up with current episodes, miss an episode, miss a part of an episode, any that applies to you, check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes, search in the Spotlight 411. So again, Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, the ways to keep up with the show and look back at classic episodes. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. Going to search for In the Spotlight 411. I want to thank Mike for being here tonight. Kind of an awkward way for him to go, but I could tell he had to go. He was exhausted. So thanks to him for stepping in for me again here. Hope he has a good night. And I want to thank myself for an okay show up until I had to leave. Pat myself on the back, and thank all of you for your continued support and contributions to the show. Thank you so much for watching. So those of you watching, listening to this later in archive, thank you to you as well. Again, thank you for your patience and your understanding. It's been a rough couple weeks here. We almost got through it tonight. Again, I had to step away. I apologize for that. But that's it for this week. That is our only show this week. Again, we'll be preempted for Avengers Endgame on Thursday. We'll be back next week with 2 shows, both on Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern time here on YouTube. Next Tuesday, we'll do our usual sports and wrestling deal, and then next Thursday, our entertainment show, and we'll probably do a couple other extra things on that show as well. And we'll get into more about what's going to be coming up on the show and whatnot in the coming weeks. Next week, we have more time to do it. Next week, tonight we had too many things we had to get to because we only had 1 show, so I figured it was in the best interest to do it tonight. And it's already late enough as it is. So with that being said, I hope you all have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week, a great weekend, a great start to your week next week. We'll see you back here 1 week from tonight on next Tuesday, April 30th at 10 o'clock Eastern time for our next show. Until then, good night, everybody.